Thanks for visiting our channel, Finding Kultur. Our topic today is Marx on materialism and Neo-Marxism. I'm Kultur, G-U-T-U-L. Marx on Dialectical Materialism is the fifth topic in the Kultur series. The first four topics are Laozi on 道德经, Buddha on Heart Sutra, God on the Bible, and Plato on being. Karl Marx is often accused of term proliferating and phrase mongering, which is merely an excuse for or reflection of people's ineptitude to understand Marx's seemingly convoluted dialectical materialism. Marx in this video will use one single and simple table to provide a clear that is unmistakable and a clean that is unambiguous philosophical and scientific grounding for his dialectical materialism. The simple table will have Marx's brilliance in full display. Marx will then use another table, a little bit more complicated, to debunk the totally flawed but commonly accepted idea that his dialectical materialism is in complete contradiction and contempt to religions. Marx will show again clearly and cleanly that once religions are themselves understood correctly on the ground of philosophy and science, there is and can be only one theory about the universe and life, and his materialism has to be, and indeed is, in total harmony with religions, the correctly understood religions. Since only one simple table will be needed to explain his dialectical materialism, Marx will continue in this video using the same philosophical and scientific framework to address additional Marxism-inspired topics like 1. Human community with a shared destiny. 2. New Era Socialism with Chinese features. In the Plato on being video, we define being as follows. X being is that which is named X. X being as itself is the material or substantial part of that which is named X. X being in itself is the natural, spatial, or property part of that which is named X. Our consciousness of X being as itself is the material or substantial part of our consciousness of that which is named X. Our consciousness of X being in itself is the natural, spatial, or property part of our consciousness of that which is named X. X is a placeholder for whatever one wishes to put in its place. Plato and Aristotle's being is grounded on a substance versus attribute conceptual structure, along with the Cartesian subject versus object conceptual structure of being. It has dominated Western philosophy from Plato, Aristotle, to Descartes, to Kant, and to Marx. In this structure, X being as itself is substance of an object. X being in itself is property or attribute of an object. Our consciousness of X being as itself is substance of a subject's thought, and our consciousness of X being in itself is property or attribute of a subject's thought. Note that we can remove all the beings in the two tables above, and there is absolutely no effect on what the two tables mean to say. Therefore, being is not only just a name or a label, but also an unnecessary convenience or redundancy in our language, and in philosophy in particular. So we end up with a simple table as this one, which can be rearranged into this table. We will use the structure of this table to explain Marx's dialectical materialism. Marx's dialectical materialism includes three pieces. One, theory of dialectic material. Two, theory of dialectical material epistemology. Three, material dialectics. Now let's fit them into this table format. So here we go. The first material, or the objective material, in Marx's theory of dialectic material is X as itself, or substance of an object. The second material, or the highly developed material, or the subjective material in Marx's theory of dialectic material is our consciousness of X as itself, or substance of an subject's thought. The struggle of the opposites in Marx's theory of dialectical material epistemology is the asymmetrical part of our consciousness of X in itself, or the asymmetrical part of property of a subject's thought. Marx's unity of the opposites in his theory of dialectical material epistemology is the symmetrical part of our consciousness of X in itself, or the symmetrical part of property of a subject's thought. Marx's unity of opposites in his material dialectics is the property of an object is X in itself, or the universe in itself. The property of an object is the property of symmetry, or change in form and no change in nature. Marx understands and says that unity of opposites is the fundamental law of the universe, or the universe in itself. So the three dialectics in Marx's dialectical materialism are clearly the following. First dialectic is between A, the first and objective material, and B, the second and the subject material. The second dialectic is between A, struggle of the opposites, and B, unity of the opposites, or between A, asymmetry and duality, and B, symmetry and non-duality. The third dialectic is between the property of an object A. Change, and B. No change. This table shows that dialectical materialism and religions are clearly of the same origin, but only different in names and labels. For example, Marx, the first material, or the objective material, is the philosophical X as itself, is heaven, earth, and human in Taoism, is six roots and six dusts in Buddhism, is heaven, earth, and human in monotheism. For example, Marx, the second material, or the subjective material, is the philosophical or consciousness of X as itself, is Ming, or the names that come into our heads in Taoism, is appearance or phenomenon in Buddhism, is the tree of knowledge in monotheism. Marx's struggle of the opposites is the asymmetrical part of our consciousness of X in itself, is Dao, or the Taos that come into our heads in Taoism, is karma, namarupa, and duality in Buddhism, is the original thing, the fruit of the tree of knowledge in monotheism. Marx's unity of opposites is the symmetrical part of our consciousness of X in itself, is De and non-duality in Taoism, is Buddha heart and non-duality in Buddhism, is God's grace and the fruit of the tree of life in monotheism. Marx's non-duality is also the philosophical X in itself, or the universe in itself, is Tao, non-duality, symmetry, and the middle way in Taoism, is Prana Paramita, or the wisdom of going beyond and the non-duality in Buddhism, and is God's grace, non-duality, and symmetry in monotheism. Marx himself understands and says that unity of opposites is the fundamental law of the universe, or the universe in itself. Therefore, we have just established that this table represents a unified religion and philosophy. This table shows how human community with a shared destiny fits into the unified religion and philosophy. This table represents the philosophical and scientific grounding for New Era Socialism with Chinese features, which has 5 goals. 1. To seek nationalization of natural resource. 2. To seek efficiency from New Era science, technology, and capitalism. 3. To seek equality in communism. 4. To seek security and dignity in socialism. And 5. To seek inclusivity and harmony in Chinese culture and in the middle way. Now we conclude Marx on materialism and Neo-Marxism. Here is one clue for finding Couture. Bye-bye.